Hey everyone, welcome back to AnimeF Shub. Today we're reviewing an epic new series. Let's dive right in.
Mori is a young, disgusting, and useless orphan boy who was adopted by an old man. This old man raised him in the mountains while teaching his unique and special martial art called Renewal Taekwondo. But one day, his grandfather told Mori it was time to join a school in the city, study hard, and make some friends. Mori felt very sad and was left in tears. But in reality, he knew the old man just wanted to buy milk and never come back. We then see three men relaxing on a beach, getting massages from girls. Something you won't ever have. One of them called a government worker named Park, inquiring about the bill they had sent to the National Assembly. The man offered him money, but the men were beyond that. They discussed their plan to harm the reputation of the country's prime minister. As they chatted, something approached the island. Suddenly, a strong wind blew and the clouds quickly covered the sunny sky. The three men were uncertain about what to do when something fell from the sky and crushed them. Meanwhile, in an office, a man made a crushing motion with his hand. He then informed his secretary that they were running out of time and needed to start. He has a red cross tattooed on his hand. Later, helicopters arrived at the island to investigate the incident and found a massive hand-shaped print that had a cross on it, just like the one tattooed on the man's hand. We now see Mori, who's now a teenager. He wakes up from a dream about his grandfather's departure. He gazed at a photo of him and his grandfather, but then realized he was running late for an important event that day. He hurriedly left on his bicycle, feeling frustrated for oversleeping on such a significant day. Later, on the news, it was announced that today marked the first day of a martial arts tournament known as the God of High School. Students from all over the country could participate, and the city preliminaries were going to be held at the arena. We could see that all the kids were excited about the tournament and wanted to get tickets to watch it. Following this, we saw a guy working in a store while taking out the trash. He checked his wallet and realized he didn't have enough money. He knew he needed to work more shifts to make ends meet. We see a girl who needs to get to the tournament and asks some martial artists for directions who are not selected for the tournament. While they give her directions, she becomes excited by the guy's muscles. Mori was on his way to the tournament, feeling hungry and thinking about what he could have for lunch. Just then, he nearly got into an accident. A motorcycle who snatched an old lady's purse. At that moment, he saw the struggles in the old lady's life, and it made him feel sorry for her. So he decided to turn around and chase after the thief. The chase was chaotic. Mori was on a bicycle while the thief sped away on a motorcycle. But Mori had some tricks up his sleeves. He expertly changed lanes, almost flying on his bicycle. During the pursuit, he accidentally ran into a girl who was still admiring the artists. He quickly apologized and resumed chasing the thief. However, when the girl realized her glasses were broken, she got angry and hurled her sword at Mori. She warned him that he wouldn't get away. Mori explained that he was chasing the thief who had stolen the old lady's purse. Hearing this, the girl was moved and decided to help him. They both rode on the bicycle together, determined to catch the thief. The thief did his best to escape, but Mori and the girl pursued him relentlessly. However, when the girl leaped to attack the thief with her sword, she accidentally hit a street sign. At that moment, a passing boy who worked at the store intervened. He stopped the thief with a single powerful punch, leaving both Mori and the girl impressed. In the next scene, the martial arts tournament is about to begin, and we learn that the three of them are in the same dressing room, getting ready to participate. The girl Yumura asked Mori to pay for her broken glasses, but Mori insisted it was the thief's fault. He did thank them for saving his life, though. Mori introduced himself as Jin Mori, and the boy Handui said his name. They exchanged introductions. Then the announcer explained the tournament rules. He mentioned that any fighting style was allowed during the matches. There was no time limit, and participants could use any type of weapon. The only ways to win were by knocking out the opponent or getting them to surrender. The regional preliminaries were currently happening, and from there, participants for the main tournament would be selected. The announcer also talked about the bracelets they were all wearing, which monitored their vital signs. These bracelets were there to determine if fighters were seriously injured, and if so, the Nanamakings injected into them would heal their injuries immediately. The announcer went on to explain that whoever passed all the rounds and won the tournament could make any wish to the organization. With all the fighters gathered, he declared that the fight had begun. Initially, everyone, including the audience, was shocked, but they quickly realized that it was a battle royale. Some fighters quickly realized that the bracelets not only monitored their life signs, but also indicated their fighting levels. As a result, they began targeting the weaker participants, demonstrating the different abilities of each fighter. However, it became evident that Mori was incredibly strong as he effortlessly defeated several opponents. Similarly, Dewey and Mura also proved their skills by defeating numerous participants. Afterward, a fighter named Kangman Seok entered the ring, and the blue-haired woman mentioned that he was the favorite to win the tournament. Kang started easily defeating several fighters, showcasing his speed, even without using his arms. He expressed disappointment at the fighter's weakness and stated his preference for going back to sleeping in his prison cell. Yumura stepped up to challenge Kang, but her blows didn't do much damage, although she proved to be a formidable opponent. During the fight, Kang made inappropriate comments about her beauty and asked her out, to which he responded with disgust. Behind Kang, we saw Mori pulling down his pants, revealing animal print underwear. This surprised Kang, who responded by delivering a powerful kick to Mori's chest. sending him flying. Dewey noticed that when Kang kicked him, Mori took the opportunity to injure Kang's foot with his arm. Mori then stood up and told Kang that if he used all his strength, he would do the same. They both leaped to attack each other. Meanwhile, officials from the United States government grew concerned upon seeing images of the events that took place on the island. A man with a scar on his forehead entered the room, causing everyone to point their weapons at him. The officials asked about his identity, and he introduced himself as Park Mujin, explaining that he worked for the Korean government. The first round of the tournament came to an end. He walked and had to go home, and Jin and Han followed, as they were all heading in the same direction. Their houses were along the same route. Jin asked you why she had hit him, which led to the revelation of what had happened during the fight between Jin and Kang. You remember that when she had jumped to attack Kang, she accidentally twisted Jin's neck. She explained that it was not intentional. She had confused him because she wasn't wearing her glasses. However, she mentioned that they were able to heal him using nanomachines that had been injected into all the fighters. These nanomachines could repair all the damage incurred during the fights, leaving Han impressed by the organization's advanced technology. Later, Jin revealed that he was participating in the tournament because he wanted to face many opponents and become stronger. He then asked Han why he was taking part, and Han responded that it was for the money. Finally, he mentioned that she was fighting to reclaim her family's martial arts academy. Jin teased her, wondering how people could easily snatch her sword from her, to which she responded that it was because she had no glasses on. Jin took out her sword without her noticing, and she asked for it back. However, as she reached for the sword, it slipped from her grasp and fell into the river. Jin apologized and said he would retrieve it, but she slapped him and asked him to disappear from her sight. It was nighttime, and Mira was searching in the water for her sword. She heard her father's voice, reminding her never to let their moonlight sword style fade away. She had a childhood memory of her father giving her the sword and telling her to find a strong successor for the academy. As she grew up, while other girls enjoyed typical girly activities, she only had time for training and fulfilling her father's wishes. Back in the present, her phone's flashlight suddenly went out, leaving her in darkness. Jin Mori appeared with a flashlight to help her search for the sword. As they continued their search, she apologized for slapping him. When he had taken the sword, she had felt very sad since it was the only memento of her father. Suddenly, Han appeared with bright lights to assist them in finding the sword. The next day, a new round of fights was about to begin, and whoever won would be able to participate in the National God of High School tournament. They introduced a fighter named Gogondo, who practiced the Tai Chi style. The three of them waited their turn in the locker room. Jin Mori was asleep when Kang approached him and threatened to harm him. Even though Mori was asleep, however, Go stepped in and told Kang to leave him alone. Despite this, Kang kicked Go in the face. But Jin Mori quickly woke up and supported Go's back to protect him. Mori advised Go to always stay alert. The first match was between Yu Mira and Han Di-Chu, and with just one move, she knocked him out. After that, the fights began and Jin Mori easily won his match. Afterward, they watched the other participants fight on TV, and Han also defeated his opponent. Seeing this, Jin Mori expressed his desire to fight them. Suddenly, Gogamdo appeared to thank Jin Mori for intervening when Kang attacked him earlier. He mentioned that he shouldn't have let his guard down. However, as he was saying this, the announcer called the fighters for the next match. Jin Mori warned Go to be careful since his opponent was Kang. Ko told Mori that he didn't fear Kang, but he was concerned about losing the Battle of Wills. The announcer had declared that the fight would not end until one of them became unconscious or surrendered. He had also mentioned that if someone left the ring for more than 20 seconds, they would be disqualified, and they couldn't rely on nanomachines to heal their injuries. Go had told Kang to release his arms and stay true to the path of a real martial artist. The fight began, and Go managed to land many punches on Kang, impressing Jin Mori and Yu with his technique. Then he skillfully threw Kang into the audience, leaving everyone astonished. However, Kang returned to the ring slowly and seemed undamaged by Go's punches. Kang then freed one of his arms and began repeatedly striking Go. However, it became clear that Kang's fighting style allowed for anything, including eye gouges and low blows, as it was created for survival in war. At this point, Go believed that his Tai Chi style was about finding peace and not getting angry. He managed to land a powerful blow called the Yin-Yang Balance Strike on Kang, but Kang effectively blocked it. Kang then demanded that Go surrender by making him apologize, and he started slapping him to humiliate him. However, Go refused to give in. Kang continued to step on his face and then tried to tear Go's arms from his body. But just as he was doing so, Jin Mori intervened and began hitting Kang, because he despised his dirty fighting style. The tournament organizers surrounded Jin Mori and informed him that he couldn't interfere in the fight that way. Kang got back on his feet and claimed that he was no longer the same. A black aura emanated from Kang, and he removed his heavy pants. We caught a glimpse of his past when he was weak and had asked his mentor to teach him techniques, but she had called him a failure. Returning to the present, Kang attacked Jin Mori with a powerful move. The organizers moved to intervene, but Jin Mori jumped and kicked Kang several times. He kicked Kang so many times that Kang fell unconscious. Suddenly, Park Mujin, the man with the scar on his forehead, appeared and used his power to throw Jin Mori to the ground. Over the microphone, he announced that he was the head of the tournament administration and severe punishment would be imposed on Jin Mori. However, as they were taking him away, he heard the crowd praising and shouting his name. Following that, we observe a group of people dressed in religious robes within a cult-like setting. They are listening to the tournament's events on the radio, and one of them mentions that they will fulfill God's will, believing that by doing so, they will have their wishes granted. Back at the arena, the organizers have gathered, and the woman with blue hair mentions that Gogamdo is severely injured, which means he is eliminated from the tournament. Then we see Kang, who is quite scared of what Jin Mori did to him. The woman comments that she doesn't believe Kang will fight again. We see Jin Mori working out in his room while the organizers are debating whether they should disqualify him. The man with the scar on his forehead looks at Jin Mori's record and is surprised to see that Jin Mori's grandfather is Jin Taijin. After that, the fights began. You faced off against a woman named Mei Mijin, who happened to be United States wrestling champion. Mai suggested that you should choose a different weapon since her wooden sword wouldn't stand a chance. She started the fight strong, attacking you with her aggressive moves. Mai explained that she had come from America to win the tournament, as the winner could have any wish granted. You attempted to fight back with her sword, but Mei's strength seemed as tough as iron, making her attacks ineffective. Yu's sword ended up falling far away, and Mei taunted her, claiming that she had no chance of winning. This infuriated Yu, and she unleashed a power called the Moonlight Sword Style, which created a large wound on Mei's chest. Even without her sword, Mei fell to the ground and Yu was declared the winner. Meanwhile, Jin Mori was in the room celebrating Yu's victory. However, Mugen entered and informed Jin Mori that they had decided on his punishment. He told Jin Mori that he could rejoin the tournament if he could defeat the man with green hair, but Jin Mori insisted on fighting the blonde man instead, recalling a humiliating incident from school. He threw a tantrum on the floor, expressing his strong desire to fight the blonde man. The man with glasses claimed that he was stronger than the blonde man and had been chosen for that reason. To prove his strength, he punched Jin Mori in the face. Jin Mori excitedly got up, realizing that the man was stronger than he had thought. The man with the scar then announced that the fight would take place the next day. Yu walked alongside Han, still upset with Jin Mori for intervening in the fight. She was concerned that this might lead to Jin Mori's disqualification from the tournament. However, Han described the incident as incredible and believed that Jin Mori's strength was extraordinary. Suddenly, Jin appeared and informed them about his upcoming fight against the man with green hair and glasses. He also offered them some fruits given to him by the scarred man earlier, mentioning that they would restore their energy. Ryu was angry at him for being so reckless, but Jin told them about their family, saying that encouraged them to do what they wanted. It was becoming evident that the scarred man and the woman with blue hair were plotting something. Afterward, Jin Mori was at home, eating a peach and preparing his bed to sleep. Suddenly, he experienced chest pain and collapsed, coughing up blood. In another location, the man with the scar explained that he had done this to test if Jin Mori was a true fighter and to see if he was as strong as his grandfather. Next, we find Han visiting a friend in the hospital who is suffering from a severe illness. It's revealed that Han is participating in the tournament to earn money to help his friend. His friend mentions that the doctors will try a new and expensive medicine, and his sister has taken on extra work to cover the treatment costs. She has become so busy that she hardly has time to sleep and feels guilty for being a burden to both his friend and his sister. Han reassures him not to worry and to focus on getting better. He tells his friend about a boy he met who reminded him of him, and they start joking and having a good time together. Later, we see him working as a trash collector, where he encounters some bullies who taunt him, having heard about his friend's dire condition. One of them hits him with a can, dirtying his shirt, but Han picks it up, and the bullies continue to mock him. Back at the arena, Han was preparing to fight in the tournament against a boy who was always seen with a book. The boy claimed to have learned everything from books, including how to win in battle. As the fight began, the boy could predict Han's movements because he had studied all the patterns of karate. He mentioned that if he practiced and learned all the movements, it would be impossible for him to lose. That's why he participated in the tournament, to prove his theory correct. The boy attacked Han with a metal bat, but Han managed to dodge the blows. The boy tried to attack again, but slipped and fell. Surprisingly, Han didn't take advantage of the situation. Instead, he offered the boy a hand to help him up. The boy was surprised that Han didn't exploit the moment and asked why. Han explained that it would be cowardly to attack a downed opponent. The boy got up and used a power called 12 Spears, which involved delivering 12 simultaneous strikes, severely injuring Han. The boy told him that these blows had pierced his bones and reached his organs, making it pointless for Han to get up and continue fighting. However, Han recalled his friend's struggle in the hospital, who had expressed a strong desire to survive his illness. We return to the present, and because of this, Han knew he couldn't afford to lose. So despite his injuries, he got up and continued to fight. The boy launched an attack with 72 spears, but Han countered the boy's onslaught with a move called Black Tortoise. He followed it up with an attack called Vermilion Bird, creating a whirlwind that blinded the boy. Finally, he unleashed White Tiger, the third attack landing multiple blows on the boy, who was left helpless. The boy couldn't believe that his theory had been completely dismantled. Unable to continue with his fourth stance, the boy collapsed and was eliminated from the tournament. Next, they announced the fight between the commissioner with green hair and Mori. However, Jin Mori was unconscious in his house. Suddenly, something inside his body awakened him. Later, as they waited for him to arrive at the fight, everyone thought he wouldn't show up. But then he arrived running and jumped into the ring, although he seemed a bit tired and didn't know why his body was burning so intensely. Upon seeing him, the green-haired commissioner taunted him, suggesting that he might have been scared to face him. The announcer explained the rules, stating that since it was an uneven match, if Jin Mori knocked his opponent down once, he would win. The fight began, and in the blink of an eye, Jin Mori swiftly took the commissioner's glasses off and knocked him down with minimal effort before the guy could react. The announcer was surprised and shouted that the match was over, leaving the audience upset because it had ended so quickly. Suddenly, the guy became enraged and rushed to attack Jin Mori. But Jin Mori evaded the attack and delivered a kick that sent him flying. The audience fell silent because it was clear that Jin Mori possessed incredible strength. Afterward, a giant monster or god emerged from the guy's body and began to attack Jin Mori, who had to run around the ring to avoid the monstrous attacks. The power of this monster was far beyond anything anyone had seen before. The monster tried to impale Jin Mori with a sword, but something stopped it, and then the monster disappeared. The other commissioners arrived to restrain the green-haired guy, who was furious about the humiliation he had suffered at the hands of Jin Mori. When Mujin arrived, he punished the green-haired man by reducing his salary for 3 months due to his behavior. Then he approached Jin Mori, who was resting, and congratulated him on his victory. Jin Mori replied that he was very hungry and wanted to eat a banana. At that moment, there was no doubt in the man's mind that Jin Mori was indeed Jin Taejin's grandson in the so-called Tiger Cup. Next, a television program discussed the God of High School tournament, with the presenters announcing that only 4 fighters remained from the preliminary round. These fighters were Mori, a practitioner of Renal Taekwondo; Ryu, the successor to the Moonlight Sword style; Han, a top full-contact karate practitioner; and another fighter named Byung-hee, who specialized in a Brazilian fighting style. The next match was set to be between Yu and Han. After this, our group of friends strolled down the street, discussing who they thought would make it to the final round. Suddenly, a car pulled up in front of them, and a young man got out. He walked toward them, knelt, and confessed his love for Yu, asking her if she wanted to marry him. Upon hearing this, the 3 friends were surprised and embarrassed. In the next scene, Yu is seen with her younger cousin, and they are deciding on the dress she will wear for the wedding. The little girl expresses disbelief that Songjin has decided to marry Yu, revealing that this young man is a famous fighter who works in television. Songjin expressed his desire to let Mura and her sword shine. Later, we are shown a flashback to Yu's childhood when her father died, and she was approached by her uncle. Her uncle told her that she would now live with him and take care of her father's sword. He also attempted to teach martial arts but was too weak, and his students left the academy. He declared that she was the rightful owner of the sword and must secure a bright future for it. Later at the dojo, the uncle asked Seon Jin why he wanted to marry Yu. He replied that he had many plans involving her and the sword. He expressed his determination to fulfill a dream that neither he nor his brother could achieve. Later, Mori was trying to decide which burger to order when he overheard a conversation in line about his friend's upcoming marriage. He decided to go to her house to ask her why she was marrying Seonjin. When she asked how he found her house, he revealed that he had asked the people who organized the tournament. He tried to close the door, but he held it open and questioned why she was getting married if she wasn't in love, especially at the time of the semifinals. She explained that she had to do it for the sake of the sword and the moonlight style. Afterward, she closed the door and Mori ended up falling down the stairs. However, she appeared to be sad as she did not want to get married. Next, Mori called Han, who was working as a food delivery driver, and informed him about Yu's marriage to a television personality whom he didn't trust. Han advised him to stop interfering in matters that didn't concern him. But Mori insisted that something didn't seem right because Mira didn't appear happy. In a scene change, Yu was dressed as a bride, and her uncle had memories of her not liking the same things as other girls. She preferred staying at home and cleaning. Or when they walked on the street, she would gaze at other girls' clothes. He would ask if she wanted him to buy her some, but she always said she didn't need them. Now it was strange that she was getting married, and even stranger that she was doing it with someone she didn't love. He went to where Songjun was and asked him to cancel his niece's wedding, stating that Yu didn't want to get married and that she was still a child. However, as he said this, Yu entered and claimed she was happy and wanted to fulfill her dream of getting married. It was clear that she had something else in mind. She mentioned that Xiangjin's power would change the fate of the moonlight sword style. Her cousin became sad because Yu didn't usually speak in that manner. Later, we saw the cousin telling Jin Mori about her father and the sword. He wanted to talk to Yu and make her see the reason. But security guards appeared and prevented him from reaching her because he didn't have an invitation. He tried to go over them but was thrown to the ground. In a flashback, we saw Songjin's true intentions, and we discovered that he belonged to a religious cult where everyone wore robes. In this cult, the leader instructed the young man to obtain the sword along with the hand that wields it, referring to Yu as she was the only one who could control it. The leader mentioned that whoever possessed this sword would be able to rule as a god. Mori was fighting with the security guards, but he couldn't use his taekwondo techniques against them because they were too weak. Suddenly, Han appeared and knocked the security guards aside with his shoulder, defeating them all. He told Jin Mori that he wasn't hitting them, but merely pushing them aside. Seong-jin looked at his guards and was disappointed in them. Mori interrupted the wedding, but Seong-jin attacked him with a sword brought by a servant. However, Han intercepted the sword with his hand, allowing Mori to speak with you. He told her not to marry Seong-jin, but she insisted on fulfilling her father's wish, which was for you to find someone very strong to inherit the sword. She had rejected all the boys who wanted to date her because they were too weak. While she was explaining this, she threw punches at Mori, who was defending himself. At this point, her uncle intervened and she accidentally hit him in the face. After this, we saw that both her uncle and her cousin did not want her to get married. Mori told her that she should do what she truly desired. Upon hearing this, she had a childhood memory of her father saying the same words. It became clear that she had misunderstood her father's words, as he was telling her to use whatever technique she wanted to control the sword. Remembering this, she decided and told Seong-jin that she didn't want to marry him. She also mentioned that she would protect the Moonlight Sword style herself. However, Seong-jin refused and said he would obtain the sword and the girl by any means necessary. He then summoned a deity, similar to the one we saw emerge from the green-haired guy during the fight against Mori. As a result, the place began to collapse, and Han shouted at people to flee. Seong-jin then attacked Han with his sword and wounded Yu in the stomach due to her getting in between them. But she quickly struck him with a moonlight move and he fell unconscious. Both Jin and Han were happy to see her back. Afterwards, they were outside, watching the fire, and Yu felt guilty for everything that happened. Seong-jin escaped in a car with his father's sword, and she said she didn't care if he took it because her father's spirit was not in the sword but inside her. Afterwards, she walked away laughing with her friends, and both her uncle and the little girl were happy for her. Later, Han was in the hospital while doctors tried to revive his friend, but they couldn't do anything because he had no pulse. After that, Han was at work and the usual guys came to taunt him. This time, he didn't allow them to make fun of his friend and beat all three of them. Then we saw the semifinal of the tournament between Han and Yu. At this moment, Han was filled with rage over his friend's death, and the audience was shocked to see him brutally beating Yu. He wanted to continue hitting her despite her being severely injured and unconscious, so the presenter had to step in to stop him from killing her. After the fight ended, he passed by Mori and told him that they would meet in the final. Mori thought that Han seemed like a different person and not his friend. 2 years ago, Han had a memory from before his friend became ill, showing that they used to enjoy fighting every day after school. Then we return to the present and he is in the bathroom, vomiting while thinking about his friend and the injuries he inflicted on Yu. Following this, the other semi-final fight began between Mori and Bayan, who used his Brazilian fighting style. However, the fight ended quickly as Mori defeated him with a single attack that knocked him out. Jin displayed immense strength. The presenter then announced that the final would be between Mori and Han, and the winner would participate in the national tournament. Later, Mori visited Yu in the hospital where she was being treated with nanomachine technology. She noticed that he was distracted and told him that he wouldn't be able to win the final against Han that way. She mentioned that she lost because she was weak, but Mori said it was because she was injured. However, she expressed her concern about why Han had acted the way he did. Later, Han visited his friend in the hospital, who was still alive but in a coma. The next day, the final day of the preliminaries arrived. The fighters were called to the ring, and the match began. Mujin wondered if the tiger cub would awaken, referring to Jin. The fight was evenly matched as both exchanged blows, and neither had the upper hand at this point. Han landed a blow to Mori's mouth, causing him to spit out a lot of blood, just like he would have been hit. Mori got up in anger and told Han that he wouldn't forgive him for hurting their friend. He launched several kicks from his renewal taekwondo and Han fell into the corner. However, Mori approached and extended his hand to help him up. Han took his hand but told him that neither he nor Yu were his friends. He then began using various techniques to attack Mori. We then saw Yu leaving the hospital with her uncle and cousin. She walked past Han's friend's room and realized that he was being treated with nanotechnology. Several people were gathered there, including the tournament organizers and a girl who was mourning her brother's death. The sister screamed at the deceased guy, urging him to get up and fight his friend Han again, which was what he enjoyed the most. Later, a memory showed the scarred man telling Han that he knew he wanted to win the tournament to help his friend. He offered a deal. If Han won the semi-final and final in a very superior manner, he would cure his friend's illness using nanomachines. This was the reason why Han fought with all his strength against Yu and was doing the same against Mori now. Returning to the present, Han was beating Mori mercilessly with his godlike stance and he fell to the ground. The presenter started counting to 10 to see if Mori could get up, but before the count reached 0, a scarred man appeared and told Han that his friend had already died. At that moment, Mori got up before the count reached 0. Later, we delve into Han's school days where he had gained a reputation for winning all his fights, even against older students. In one instance, he found himself outnumbered by students armed with sticks, but an unexpected ally, the friend who would later mean so much to him, appeared to aid him in the battle. After their victory, both exhausted and lying on the ground, the friend questioned Han about why his supposed friends hadn't come to his aid. Han responded with a bitter truth, Those he associated with weren't truly his friends. The friend offered a valuable piece of advice, urging Han to place more trust in people. Returning to the present, Han awoke from his unconscious state, grappling with the devastating news of his friend's passing. Mori initiated a brutal attack, but Han defended himself ruthlessly. At this juncture, we learn about the Skurred Man's previous conversation with Han. He revealed that the nanomachine treatment had been initiated, but regrettably, it was too late. Consequently, their contract had come to an end, leaving Han free to fight as he saw fit. In the heat of the battle, Han reflected on the nonsense of proclaiming that Mori and the others weren't his friends. He also recalled the words of his departed friend, he advised to trust people more, echoing in his mind. Despite Mori's relentless assault, Han chose not to resist. In the midst of the intense battle, Yu implored Han to fight as he had when he faced her, and handed him a letter left behind by his late friend. Yu cautioned Han not to reveal its contents to Mori, fearing that it might affect their fight. Upon receiving the letter, Han recollected his friend writing it before his untimely demise. The letter conveyed his happiness and encouraged Han to fight for himself. Filled with newfound determination, they engaged in a fierce battle, both content as they gave their all. Mori unleashed a powerful blue dragon kick, causing Han to tumble to the ground. The announcer declared Jin Mori the tournament's winner. Han had another memory, this time of a fight he had won against his friend, who was overjoyed and suggested they share a smile. Han, however, asserted that smiling wouldn't bring them any victories, to which his friend insisted that they would become best friends. Back in the present, as Mori extended his hand, Han realized that Mori's smile mirrored that of his departed friend. They shook hands and Mori declared them friends. Yu assisted Han to his feet, declaring her intent to defeat him in their next match. Together, they walked away, and the audience erupted in applause, celebrating their newfound friendship. Jin Mori's grandfather finds himself deep in the forest when a group of men dressed in robes from the religious cults suddenly appears. One of them approaches the elderly man, suggesting that strong individuals should unite and join their cause, claiming that they've been bestowed with power from heaven. However, the old man vehemently refuses, asserting his right to live life on his own terms, a sentiment he often shares with his grandson. In response to this refusal, the man's expression changes, hinting that he might have used some form of power or manipulation on the elderly man. Mori lies on his bed, pondering the whereabouts of his long-lost grandfather, whom he hasn't seen since his childhood. Meanwhile, on television, the presenters make an announcement about the upcoming national tournament, which will be held in teams starting in 2 weeks. To participate in this tournament, the top 3 fighters from each regional preliminary must form teams. In order to determine the 3rd and 4th place fighters, Yu competes against the fighter skilled in Brazilian style and easily secures the 3rd place position. Mori enthusiastically cheers for her from the audience, but both Yu and Han feel somewhat embarrassed. The tournament administrators review a detailed analysis of the teams, and a sudden rule change is enacted. This change is motivated by the realization that anyone on the teams could be the Ki, as they all possess Ki-like qualities. They understand that the Ki is awakened when the individual's strongest emotion triggers their latent power. Additionally, the administration expresses concern about the cult's increasing audacity after the preliminaries as they are pursuing the same objectives. Mori expresses his happiness that Yu has won, ensuring that all 3 of them can participate in the upcoming big tournament as a team. They walk down the street together, and Mori is excited about the prospect of going to the tournament with his friends. However, a sudden realization strikes him. In a team competition, he won't be able to fight against his friends. He questions why you would want to fight against them, and Mori responds that being the strongest is incredibly cool. During this conversation, Mori senses someone passing by, but the person disappears quickly, leaving him intrigued. Later, we see an elderly man who has been sent by the Skurred Man to spy on Mori. It becomes clear that this elderly man is a master, and they summon these masters using cards. There are 6 of them in total. The elderly man used to be Mujin's teacher, and he believes that Jin Mori must be strong because he survived after consuming the sage fruit. Thus, the elderly man intends to mentor him. Continuing the storyline, we are shown what transpired with Mori's grandfather. The men in robes summon a god from the sky, creating a portal through which a giant sword descends, pointing towards the elderly man and causing massive destruction in its wake. This catastrophic event makes them believe that the end of the world is imminent. Yu is deeply contemplating her role in the team, feeling like she's merely an extra. Later, she encounters the fight presenter while he is with his family of store. She notices that he is blind and congratulates her on her victory in the fight. He then tells her that the real tournament is about to begin and that she needs to tap into the full power of the Moonlight sword style. He emphasizes that she must invest her emotions into the sword, otherwise her strength will be in vain. Surprisingly, he reveals that he lost his sight due to the Moonlight sword. As the presenter heads back to his car, he detects a foul odor, which turns out to be emanating from a member of Nox. Afterward, Han has a conversation with Mugen, who questions whether Han still wishes to participate in the tournament after his friend's death, implying that he doesn't have to continue fighting. Han responds by stating his commitment to repaying a significant debt and his determination to win the tournament, as it's what his late friend would have wanted. He also expresses his curiosity about the hidden power behind the tournament, alluding to the god that emerged from the green-haired man during Mori's fight. This revelation captures the Scarred Man's attention as he gazes at images of gods on the wall. Mori is dedicated to his training in an effort to gain more muscle and surprise Yu and Han. However, his training regimen includes activities that are not very effective, such as chasing after a cat. In another instance, he assists some children in retrieving a balloon stuck in a tree. Unfortunately, the branch breaks, causing him to fall and twist his ankle. Unbeknownst to Mori, the elderly man seen earlier appears behind him and inserts a needle into his ankle, miraculously relieving his pain. Following this, the Scarred Man explains the concept of gods and how individuals can extract power from them, effectively using it in combat as if they were gods themselves. This transcends human understanding, and those who harness this power are known as Cheriak. Later, Yu and Han pay a visit to Mori's house, when Mori questions how they found his home. Yu playfully responds with the same answer he provided when he visited her house. Upon entering Mori's residence, they are met with an untidy environment. Mori explains that he used to live with his grandfather in the mountains, but relocated to the current place to attend school. The three friends exchange the knowledge they have acquired over time, discussing topics like Cheriak and Mori's healing abilities as he successfully relieves Yu's sore shoulder. They recognize the need to stay vigilant as many of the fighters in the tournament are now wielding the power of gods. The highly anticipated national tournament, featuring the country's best teams, is on the verge of commencing. In total, there are 3 fighters representing each of the 9 regions, making for a total of 27 competitors. The stakes are high as the tournament promises the winners the incredible power of a god, which has the potential to grant any wish. Yu keenly observes that the presenter for the tournament is different from the one they encountered previously. However, a disturbing revelation soon unfolds as it's broadcasted on television that the previous presenter was brutally murdered in a park. The shocking news sends shockwaves through the audience and participants alike. We then catch a glimpse of the individual responsible for this heinous crime, who appears to revel in the chaos and violence he has caused. He expresses sinister satisfaction at having also eliminated the green-haired commissioner with glasses, one of the tournament's strongest contenders. The presenter explains that there will be 3 fights, and the team that wins 2 of them will move on to the next round. Mori steps up to fight first, and Yu cautions him to be careful because the opposing team is formidable. However, he isn't fearful and shares that he has acquired a new skill. During the battle, he touches different points on his body, explaining that it will unleash his hidden power. In the audience, the elderly man takes pride in teaching him this new ability. Unfortunately, Mori couldn't move because he touched the wrong spots on his body, allowing his opponent to capitalize on the situation, delivering powerful kicks and securing victory in the first match. In the second match, Han faces the largest member of the opposing team. The presenter points out that this fighter is the oldest in the tournament at 38 years old, named Pum, surprising the audience. In another scene, the person responsible for killing the presenter and the green-haired commissioner gloats about how easy it was to take their lives. However, it's revealed that the green-haired man named Q miraculously survived despite having a sword through his lung. He summons a god, which swiftly severs the assassin's arm. Back at the tournament, Han is locked in a fierce battle against Pum. He manages to land multiple powerful punches on him, causing worry for Pum's friend. However, Jang, Pum's teammate, reassures him not to fret as Pum never gives up. This triggers a flashback to Pum's time working in construction, where fellow workers ridiculed him for his repeated failures to pass the high school entrance exam. His brother delivers a bag of books for him to study with, and they discuss Pum's determination. Meanwhile, Jang watches from a distance and declares her determination not to become a loser like them. After losing a fencing competition, she vents her frustration by throwing her sword against a wall. Pum approaches her and inquiries about her well-being. She already knows his name, as people often gossip and speak ill of him. Curious, she questions why he keeps trying when everyone mocks him for being a poor student and older. Pum reveals that he refuses to give up, sharing that he attempted various endeavors after leaving school but ultimately gave up on all of them. He advises Jang not to give up if she truly wants to achieve something. Then he leaves, running to work in the rain. The scene shifts back to the present where Han is in the ring, but his opponent delivers a powerful blow that sends him to a corner. Pum expresses his strong desire to win the tournament because his dream is to help people who aspire to study but are struggling. He summons Thor's hammer with Cheriak and attacks Han, who manages to stop the attack and destroy the hammer using the power of the blue dragon. Pum falls to the ground and Han is declared the winner. In another scene, the battle between Q and the assassin who attempted to kill him intensifies. Q swiftly severs the assassin's other arm, but the killer boasts that he can regenerate indefinitely. Unfazed, Q launches several cards that pierce the assassin's body, immobilizing him as Q prepares to deliver a fatal blow. A boy and a girl arrive on the scene, both of whom are priests from the cult. The boy introduces himself as Axley and the girl as Saturn. They wield strange powers and attack Q. However, the white-haired organizer, aware that Q had removed his limiter, arrives to assist him. She had sensed something wrong and came to investigate. Back at the tournament, the final match between Yu and Jang is about to commence, and the victor will determine which team advances to the next round. Initially, both girls wield sticks in their fight, but Jang quickly realizes that Yu holds the advantage. Peng fervently cheers for Jang, urging her to fight with unwavering determination and not give up. Jang conjures a power resembling a yellow light sword and attempts to strike Yu, but she skillfully evades the attack. Recalling the presenter's words in the park, Yu unleashes the full power of the Moonlight Sword style, delivering a powerful kick that shatters Jang's sword and secures her victory. Returning to the confrontation between Q and the white-haired girl, they emerge victorious against the cult priests. However, before they can execute the priests, Axley grabs Saturn, and the two of them manage to escape. Meanwhile, the other assassin's head begins to swell uncontrollably, eventually causing an explosion that engulfs the entire apartment and cuts off power throughout the building. Miraculously, they survive the explosion. Later, Mori and Yu celebrate their victory, while Han reflects on the moment when he struck Yu so forcefully during their fight, vowing never to repeat such an action. Jang regains consciousness, and Pum expresses his concern for her. He reassures her that it's not the end and that they will have another opportunity to compete next year. The next match begins with a green-haired boy named John Jugok, who creates a power using musical notes and fire. However, his opponent, Jekyll Tak, summons a colossal shark that mercilessly attacks Jugok, causing him to lose a significant amount of blood. In response, a girl from Jugok's team attempts to intervene and help him. But Jekyll Tak repeatedly kicks her while she's defenseless on the ground, shocking both the audience and the participants. Yu wants to prevent Mori from intervening, fearing disqualification. But this time, Han steps in to confront Jekyll Tak. The announcer positions himself between them, and the injured boy, determined to win for the sake of his family's corporation, rises to his feet. He conjures and fires lightning, but Jekyll Tak effortlessly counters it and summons the shark once more, which devours the boy. In the emergency room, doctors are attending to the injured boy while Park Mujin contemplates the situation. An elderly man suggests that Jekyll Tak should be disqualified because it's evident that he intended to cause chaos in the tournament. However, Park responds by hinting that Jekyll Tak might be the key they've been searching for. Meanwhile, Jin Mori, Yu, and Han are in the audience, watching the ongoing fight. Han and Yu discuss the upcoming opponents, and Han remembers that he has been suspended from participating due to his previous intervention. Jin Mori, on the other hand, is impressed by a fighter named Park Ilpio, who effortlessly wins his match with a powerful kick. Park Ilpio's hoodie, adorned with a tiger emblem, reminds Mori of his grandfather's military uniform. As they stroll down the street, Han mentions the importance of getting stronger and mastering Charyuk, the ability to summon the power of a god. In a flashback, Park Mujin explains that some fighters spend years honing their skills to obtain Charyuk, but success is far from guaranteed. Others are inspired and acquire this power more easily. However, Jin Mori expresses his desire to win based on his own strength and refuses to rely on the power of gods. This decision leaves you concerned because Mori seems different, appearing sad and quieter than usual. Jin Mori's memory takes him back to a conversation with Park and the girl with blue hair, where they informed him that his grandfather had recently suffered an attack in the mountains, and they discovered a significant amount of his blood at the scene. While Park Mujin was concerned about the slim chances of survival, Jin remained confident in his grandfather's abilities. Back in the present, Jin Mori is lost in thought and expresses his disbelief that his grandfather was killed. At that moment, Park Ilpio approaches him with excitement, eager to meet him. They exchange friendly punches, both ending up in a deadlock, and neither of them takes it further. Ilpio apologizes for his enthusiasm and offers a hand to help Jin up. During their conversation, Park Ilpio reveals that he has been following Jin Mori's progress since the preliminary rounds. Jin Mori, curious about the tiger symbol on Ilpio's hoodie, inquires about it, and Park explains that he wears it as a sign of respect for Jin Taijin, Mori's grandfather. Park Ilpio shares his childhood story with Jin Mori, revealing that his mother abandoned him after his father's funeral. He was then placed in a martial arts academy, where he felt lonely and isolated. One day, Jin Taijin appeared with a young Jin Mori sleeping on his chest. Jin Taijin approached Park Ilpio, explaining that he had fought alongside Ilpio's grandfather in a war. He gave Ilpio a book of martial arts techniques called Sikayan, which his grandfather had studied throughout his life. Jin Taijin encouraged Ilpio to grow up quickly and become a great fighter. As he left, Ilpio noticed the tiger symbol on Jin Taijin's uniform, which left a lasting impression on him. During their conversation, Ilpio intercepts an attack that was aimed at Jin Mori, using his skills to stop the shark's teeth launched by Jekyll Tak. Ilpio then confronts Jekyll, warning him not to harm innocent people. A flashback reveals Ilpio delivering a powerful blow to Jekyll, leaving a strong impression on him. Afterward, Jekyll departs and Ilpio cautions Jin Mori about the danger that Jekyll poses. Jin Mori is surprised and grateful for Ilpio's assistance, realizing that he wouldn't have been able to stop the attack without him. The scene shifts to Jin Mori's training as he strives to become even stronger. Q barges into Park's office with anger, questioning why Park allowed the family of the deceased presenter to be murdered. In response, Park strikes Q and reminds him that he needs to compensate for the apartment damage caused during their fight. He also informs Q that 9 months of his salary will be deducted as a consequence of his actions. Later, on a rooftop, the blue-haired girl explains to Q that she created a fake body to deceive their enemies while the real wife and daughter were moved to a safe location. Meanwhile, Q retrieves a coin from beneath a soda machine, and Han, who works at the same location, observes him. Han approaches Q and makes an offer. He wants Q to teach him how to use Chariok, and in return, Han promises to prepare lunch for him every day, allowing Q to save the money he would otherwise spend on food. Han's motivation is to become stronger than Jin Mori and ultimately defeat him. He senses that Jin Mori is troubled, and Han wants to be a reliable ally. Park meets with the tournament organizers and reveals that a dangerous religious cult called Nox is targeting them. He urges them to eliminate any member of this organization if they encounter them. Meanwhile, the members of the Nox cult gather for a meeting, and their leader declares war on the organizers of the God of High School tournament. In another scene, Jin Mori reflects on his 17th birthday and his long separation from his grandfather. He recalls that his grandfather left him to confront dangerous adversaries when he was just a child. Yu and Han surprise him with birthday wishes, bringing food and spending the evening playing and having fun together. They make a pact to win the tournament, even though Han can't participate due to his suspension. The following day, Jin Mori receives a letter containing a map and a photo of his grandfather,